Part 75. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 741. Commander Chen, Ye Zhenjun and several guards came over after lunch, and called Zibao as soon as they entered. "Where is Zibao? Zibao, look what I brought you." Zibao was playing with straw worms in the house. One on the left and one on the right were still on the ground. Suddenly he heard Ye Zhenjun's voice and jumped up and ran out the door. His legs and feet jumped faster than a wild rabbit. "Grandpa! Ride a big horse." When Zibao arrived, he jumped up, only to be caught first by Commander Chen. "Zibao, do you miss Grandpa?" Commander Chen finished the question with a smile and confidently waited for Zibao to reply that he missed him. As a result, the little fat man turned sideways and stretched out his arms towards Ye Zhenjun. "Grandpa, Dama. Dama." Commander Chen is busy with official duties, and the person who takes Zibao on horseback the most often is Ye Zhenjun. "The two of us are the most familiar, so familiar that even Lu Zhang would be jealous." Ye Zhenjun laughed loudly, took the Zibao over, and weighed it. It seemed to be heavy again. "Big horse." Zibao's head was still looking out, but he didn't see the shadow of the horse, and he looked very disappointed. He was disappointed, his fat face suddenly fell down, and he looked extremely pitiful. Ye Zhenjun explained seriously, "There is no big horse. Dama is in the army. After Grandpa finishes the meeting, can you and Grandpa go back together? Grandpa will take you to ride the big horse every day after you go back." "Good." Commander Chen pretended to be unhappy and said, "Zibao, don't you miss Grandpa?" "I think so." Zibao answered this question without thinking. "As long as he says he wants to, everyone will be happy, and then they will give the baby delicious and fun things, and even hug the baby and kiss the baby." "Where do you think you are?" Commander Chen continued to ask. Zibao nodded and said, "Here it is." Because Zibao's communication skills are so strong, Feng Qingxiu is usually very attentive. She will ask him if he misses his mother. Zibao replies that he does, and then asks where he misses her. If Zibao can't answer, Feng Qingxiu teaches him to tap his heart. Of course Zibao will get used to it if it happens often. At the same time, Feng Qingxiu will also teach him to identify his own facial features. Every time a question is asked, Zibao clicks on the answer. Therefore, it is no accident that Zibao is lovable. Needless to say, Commander Chen was very happy when he saw Zibao behaving like this. His old face full of grooves smiled like a chrysanthemum. "Zibao misses Grandpa with all his heart." "Grandpa misses you too." "How can I miss you? I miss you and look forward to Zibao coming home every day." Zibao grinned, his dimples were sweet. After they finished speaking, Father Lu stepped forward to say hello and invited them into the house. Feng Qingxiu poured tea. The white porcelain tureen that Lu's father bought from the flea market complemented the green tea perfectly. Comrade Commander, try the Longjing tea that the old leader gave to Grandpa Zibao. My father is usually reluctant to drink it." Commander Chen and Commander Ye nodded to Father Lu to thank him. "People say that a tiger father has no dog son. I often wonder what kind of father can raise a military lieutenant with both bravery and wisdom like Lu Zhang. When I met Comrade Lu today, I suddenly understood." After listening to Ye Zhenjun's words, Lu's father was very humble and said seriously, "Comrade Commander Ye, thank you very much." Lu Zhang joined the army as a young man and spent most of his life in the army. It was not me who taught him, but the country and the army that made him successful. Without the infiltration of blood and artillery fire, he would not be what he is today. I gave him a body of flesh and blood, but the country and the army gave him a spiritual inheritance. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 742. Who wouldn't be happy to hear this? Feng Qingxiu secretly admired him. Father Lu was truly a master among masters and worthy of learning from the younger generation. Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun laughed and were in a particularly happy mood. We are here today because Lu Zhang dared to fight hard. He is a combination of luck and talent. It is not due to us. Not to mention him, he can do it every day in the army. I'm tired of seeing his black face. Why don't we see Zibao here? Where's Fubao? Only after we met the old leader did we realize that Zibao was actually a frequent visitor to the old leader's house. There is a photo of Zibao and the old leader hanging on the wall. I heard that the old leader named Fubao. Yes, his first name is Lu Tianhui, and his nickname is Fubao. They are named by Mr. Wang. I will go and bring him to meet you two comrades. Feng Qingxiu smiled and walked into the inner room immediately. Wang Fengjiao, who was taking care of Fubao, stopped her niece and said quietly, "What kind of big shot is coming outside? Is he in charge of the food but not the food at night? Let me see if there is anything else we can do to entertain guests. If not, I will go to the delicatessen have a look." During the time she lived with her niece, Wang Fengjiao gained 100 times more knowledge. It is the comrade commander and comrade commander of our troops who came to the capital to attend a meeting. There are strict regulations. They should not stay for dinner. It doesn't matter if they just eat. A home-cooked meal is enough. I will cook when it's time. It's not that I don't respect Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun, but they are our own people. Bernard is a friend and an outsider, and they are different. Feng Qingxiu carried Fubao out, but Wang Fengjiao didn't dare to follow, and she didn't have the courage to meet the big shots outside. Zibao immediately pointed at Fubao and said loudly, "Grandpa, my sister." "What's the name of Zibao's sister?" Ye Zhenjun teased him. "Fat Yat." Zibao immediately smiled and rolled his eyes. Commander Chen was stunned and burst into laughter. His laughter woke Fubao, who was sleeping soundly, and he burst into tears. Feng Qingxiu skillfully coaxed him for a moment, and Fubao stopped crying. There were still 2 tears on his tender cheeks, and his eyes, washed by tears, became brighter and brighter. Commander Chen held her in his arms and liked it very much. This girl is so good looking. She is as lucky as Zibao. When praising Fubao, one should not forget to bring 11 bao, which shows that 11 bao's popularity is truly unparalleled in the world. Ye Zhenjun put down Zibao and hugged Fubao. Fubao was only over a month old and could not speak or express himself. Of course, he was not as lovable as 11 bao, who was lively, cute, talking and dancing, so the two took turns holding Fubao for a while before handing Fubao over to Feng Qingxiu. Attention shifted to Zibao. "Zibao, I heard that you have done a lot of big things recently." After listening to Commander Chen's words, Zibao puffed up his chest and said proudly, "Yeah." If he had a tail, Feng Qingxiu thought, his tail could reach the sky. Ye Zhenjun touched Zibao's head, pinched his fat face, and looked at him carefully for a moment. "Zibao, tell me, why are you liked by so many people? Come and tell Grandpa why you are so lovable." "Grandpa, I'm fine," Zibao said. "I am fine?" Everyone understood what he meant. He was saying that he was very good and everyone should like him. Feng Qingxiu had never seen this kind of confidence in anyone before. Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun laughed out loud at the same time. "What a treasure," Commander Chen couldn't help but say it with emotion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 743. Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun had work to do and had to prepare for the next meeting. After seeing Zibao and Fubao, they did not stay in the Lu family for long. When they left, Zibao was reluctant to leave. "Grandpa, his round eyes were full of tears, and the little chubby hand pulled Ye Zhenjun's shirt. Feng Qingxiu and Lu's father were holding Fu Bao when they saw him off. The latter was quite sad. When he and Feng Qingxiu were sent to the car to visit relatives at the border guard, 11 Bao was not as reluctant to part with his own grandfather as he is now. Zibao's expression is spot on, and the reluctance to leave is vividly displayed. Ye Zhenjun's heart softened and he touched his head. Zibao, take care of your mother and sister at home. Grandpa will come to play with you after the meeting in a few days, okay? Grandpa will lend you a big horse and take you with him. Go ride a big horse. De ma, Zibao repeated again and again. Yes, a big horse, let me take you to ride a big horse. Of course there are war horses in the capital military region. With his own face, Ye Zhenjun feels that he can borrow a horse and take Zibao with him. Zibao has a lot of face. Zibao nodded, big horse. Yes, yes, I will never forget it. Ye Zhenjun understood what Zibao meant and told him not to forget. After hearing his repeated assurances, Zibao immediately let go of his chubby hand. Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun were stunned and suddenly understood. This kid, he's so smart. Zibao waved to Commander Chen who was speaking and said cheerfully, bye. Father Lu and Feng Qingxiu couldn't help laughing. After achieving his goal, Zibao jumped back and didn't forget to call Father Lu and Feng Qingxiu, Grandpa, Mother, Sister. It's coming. It's coming. Father Lu decided to spend the remaining month to continue teaching his grandson. What a pity to waste such a gift. At the same time that the old leaders were holding a meeting, Lu's father collected a lot of old newspapers, various directive documents issued by the state, etc. from various places. After careful study, he suddenly said to Feng Qingxiu in private, after that, Fu Bao will be 2 months old in a few days. I see no need for you to stay in the capital. Go back to the army as soon as possible. Don't stay in the capital. Feng Qingxiu was stunned. Dad, what do you mean? The storm is about to come. Father Lu sighed softly. There has been one movement after another in the past 2 or 3 years. Our Wangla brigade is your uncle's one-word haul, and your third uncle is secretly blessing us. It didn't affect our brigade. I recently studied the contents of old newspapers and found that many areas were not so peaceful. It seemed that there were leaders from the capital to carry out movements, but they later disagreed on certain things. This conference is bound to be inseparable from this theme, but it is a thing of the past and there must be a new movement. This year is 1964. Has the special period begun? Yes, there is no incident that happens without reason. Any large-scale movement in the world has time to brew. Feng Qingxiu couldn't recall the detailed records about this period of history. Feng Qingxiu was confused and very annoyed about her carelessness. She should have investigated the causes and consequences. Fortunately, her tone was particularly calm. Since you said so, Dad, then my aunt and I will pack our bags now and buy the bus tickets in 2 days, and my father will go back and remind the third uncle and uncle to be ready. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 744. Father Lu nodded slightly. It's natural. I have to go back. Although it will take a long time to affect our hometown, we don't want to fight an unprepared battle. Besides, I want to see your uncle before leaving. Wang Xinchen attended this meeting, and he will bring the specific information. Feng Qingxiu understood Father Lu's thoughts very well, but was worried that Wang Xinchen might not have time to see Father Lu. As she expected, Wang Xinchen didn't come, either because he couldn't get away or because of the rules. It was Guo Yan who came. Guo Yan used the excuse that Wang Zonghua missed Zibao and talked about Zibao every day, so her grandparents came. But as soon as she entered the house, she sent Wang Zonghua and Zibao to play, and she found Lu's father and Feng Cheng. Snow, looking serious. Xiaoxiu, your uncle asked me to tell you and your father to pack your bags and leave immediately. Auntie, what happened? Feng Qingxiu asked hurriedly. Guo Yan held her hand and shook her head. Don't ask anything, and act like you don't know anything. I just listened to your uncle saying that the sky can't change, but the situation is getting weird, and he can't see through it for the time being. Feng Qingxiu felt that it had finally come. Father Lu nodded slightly and said in a low voice, Sister-in-law, go back and tell brother, don't panic, be calm, support, follow the old leader's ideas wholeheartedly, support the old leader to the best of his ability, while supporting, protect yourself. In this situation, only then can he save others. It is a merit rather than a fault, and future generations will not scold him for this. The process of fighting for fame and wealth has always been cruel. Either you die or I die. Although the history will be passed down through the ages, no one wants to become a victim of the power struggle. At this point, Father Lu said directly, I can't explain it in one sentence. I'm going to write a letter and ask my sister-in-law to bring it to my brother. After reading it, I must destroy it and don't leave any traces. Guo Yan didn't expect that things would happen so suddenly, which was beyond her expectation. I remember it, don't worry. Xiaoxiu, after you go back, you and Lu Zhang will stay in the army peacefully. Wherever you go, don't go, the UPS and downs outside have nothing to do with you. Your uncle and I will try our best to keep you in the southwest military region for 10 or 8 years. Just listening to it made people tremble with fear. Feng Qingxiu solemnly said, Auntie, don't worry, Zhang and I will be fine and will never cause trouble. You and uncle should also be fine. Guo Yan smiled slightly, since your father and your uncle talked several times, I have been mentally prepared. I now have a good relationship with the wives of several old leaders, plus Zibao's popularity in the compound, it will always bring some benefits to the future. Relatively speaking, the army is relatively stable, and your uncle and I are relieved that you are there. The people of the Lu family were very decisive. They packed their luggage in one day, stayed away from relatives and friends for 2 days, and ignored their previous life plans. On the third day, they got on the train. Feng Qingxiu and Wang Fengqiao took their children and luggage to the west. The small bag really brought a lot. As for the rented courtyard, Guo Yan handed it over to Lan Tianming. After Lu's father put his daughter-in-law and others on the train, he bought a ticket home. Before leaving, he told Lan Tianming, don't throw away the few pieces of furniture left for the landlord. There is no harm in keeping them. The table there was 100 yuan on it. We used some briquettes left by the landlord and ate some cabbage. A little money is not a sign of respect. If you can't write, let's just run away. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 745. The ticket home was scheduled for 8 o'clock in the evening. Father Lu didn't have many things. He brought a change of clothes, dry food prepared by Wang Fengqiao and Feng Qingxiu, gifts from the old leader and clothes and nutritional supplements prepared by Feng Qingxiu for the children at home. Wait, there will be no other luggage. Father Lu felt that it would not be safe to take home the things he bought at the flea market or the black market if he faced inspection. The army is different. As Guo Yan said, the army is relatively stable, and Lu Jiang's status is not low. Most people will not come to check, so Feng Qingxiu takes them all back to the army. The reason is that there is a shortage of bowls, chopsticks, and cups in the army family home. Disc and so on. Therefore, after sending his daughter-in-law and others onto the bus, Father Lu had enough time to send a telegram to his son, telling him that his daughter-in-law had boarded the bus today and asked him to pick her up at the train station so as not to let his mother-in-law get off the bus. Even if there is no response, there is enough time for Lan Tianming to handle the remaining matters, so as not to leave a bad impression on the homeowner. Lan Tianming smiled and said, Comrade Lu, please don't worry, I will convey your wishes to the landlord. Although those pieces of furniture were heavy and old, they made the originally empty room seem a bit lively. When Zhang Xiaoyu rushed over panting, Father Lu had already reached the door. "Uncle Lu, where are Sister Shui, Zibao, and the others?" He craned his neck and didn't see Feng Qingxiu and Zibao coming out. Lan Tianming locked the door, and Zhang Xiaoyu's eyes almost popped out. Father Lu smiled and said, "Comrade Xiaoyu, they have already set off for the morning train." Zhang Xiaoyu kept stamping her feet. Sister Shui and Zibao Fuebao left so suddenly. Without saying hello in advance, I was not prepared at all. They left. What should I do with the things I bought for Zibao? She thought for a while, and when she saw the luggage that Father Lu was carrying, she put the loaded net bag into Father Lu's hand. "Comrade Xiaoyu." Father Lu opened his mouth to refuse, but Zhang Xiaoyu said, "Uncle Lu, isn't he going home too? What would it be like to come to the capital and go back without bringing some specialties? I remember Sister Shui said that there are several children at home, so just go back and give it to the child, who would let Zibao not have this blessing." "Okay, I'm leaving, there is no need to distinguish between me and Sister Shui." Worried that Father Lu would not accept her, Zhang Xiaoyu ran and said. After she finished speaking, she disappeared. Father Lu couldn't catch up with her because of his old arms and legs and his luggage. This issue. Lan Tianming smiled and said, "Comrade Xiaoyu is kind-hearted, so Comrade Lu will accept it." At this point, Father Lu couldn't help but accept it. Instead, he kept this favor in his heart and sent a telegram or letter to his son and daughter-in-law after returning home to let them know about it. "Okay, Comrade Lan, I'm leaving. I don't know whether Zibao was honest or not in the car." They had only been separated for a long time, and Father Lu began to miss his grandson. At this moment, Zibao was not honest at all. He was lying on the berth, kicking his feet in the air with no shoes and only socks, squeaking, but his voice was long and plaintive, "My big brother horse, my big horse." Feng Qingxiu was breastfeeding Fu Bao and was too lazy to pay attention to him. No tears came out, and you could tell it was fake crying. "Mom," Zibao howled for a while and realized he was bored. He turned over and lay on the bed, sticking his butt out, crossing his feet, leaning his elbows on the bed, and holding his chin with his two fat hands. "Mom, baby, baby. I know you are a baby, there is no need to remind me," Feng Qingxiu said coldly and unmotherly. "What the brat means is that I am Zibao, and you have to comfort me. After thinking about it, I'll add another chapter. I'll update it at 5 or 6 in the afternoon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 746. "Are you a great Zibao?" Feng Qingxiu hummed. The more she ignored him, the more excited Zibao became. He swayed his feet in the air. "Mom, Mom, I'm a baby, 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 Mom, come and pay attention to me." Feng Qingxiu pretended not to hear and gently patted her daughter's milk burps. "Mom," Zibao was so anxious that his little fat body began to tremble and his face turned red. Wang Fengqiao couldn't stand it anymore. "Xiaoxiu, what can you do to comfort Zibao? You won't lose a piece of meat." Hearing Wang Fengqiao's words, Zibao immediately rubbed his eyes with the back of his chubby hands, flattened his mouth, and acted like, "If you don't comfort me, I will cry to you," and peeked secretly through his fingers with his little eyes. Light wind and snow. When he noticed Feng Qingxiu glancing over, the little guy immediately closed his fingers and continued to rub his eyes. Feng Qingxiu found it both funny and irritating. This kid really looks like he has become a spirit. White and fat, like a little ginseng essence. After waiting for a long time for his mother's comfort, Zibao put down his little hands, closed his eyes, opened his mouth, and was about to continue howling at the top of his lungs. There was a warmth on his cheeks, and he immediately opened his eyes and shut up with joy. Sure enough, it was his mother kissing his left cheek. After his mother finished kissing her, he quickly moved his right cheek for her to continue kissing her, and also kissed her forehead. Feng Qingxiu satisfied him one by one, because she had seen the brightly colored tonsils in his throat before. If she didn't comfort him, he would probably turn his fake crying into real crying because he didn't have the comfort of love. Having achieved his goal, Zibao was satisfied. He crawled over and lay head to head with his sister who had fallen asleep after eating. After lying down for a moment, he suddenly sat up and patted the sleeper dissatisfiedly. "Mom, I'll take a pillow." Feng Qingxiu had no choice but to take out his pillow from the luggage bag and help him put it away neatly. After he lay down, she covered him with a quilt. The little guy opened his mouth and said, "Thank you, Mom." No matter how irritating he was, upon hearing these words, his steely heart turned into tenderness around his fingers. Wang Fengqiao couldn't help but said, "Look at how well behaved Zibao is. Just now you were showing off to him, not like a mother. Baby, be good." "Mom, baby," Zibao nodded in agreement. Yes, Zibao is the most well-behaved child in the world. Mother loves her baby the most and loves her baby the most. Go to sleep, go to bed quickly. In order to catch the train, we got up at 5 or 6 o'clock, 2 or 3 times earlier than you usually do. Feng Qingxiu tucked him in, and as soon as she finished speaking, the little guy yawned and closed his eyes. Zibao fell asleep, and the sleeper compartment where his mother and daughter were the only ones was instantly quiet. Wang Fengqiao sighed, "Taking care of a good child makes me feel happy. No matter what the child does, I feel happy. Zibao is such a child. How painful is it? It's not like your cousin's precious egg, which is pampered by her husband's family. You don't look like a child. Last year, you took Zibao to visit relatives in the army. I took care of the child for half a month, which made my head hurt." The cousin she refers to is not Wang Qiao, but Wang Fengqiao's daughter Chen Cancan. She is not married far away, but her partner Zhao Taizu works at the Huihei City power plant and the living conditions are pretty good. When Feng Qingxiu came to this era, Chen Cancan had been married for several years. In addition, Chen Cancan has always given priority to her husband's family and rarely returns to her parents' home, so the two cousins only meet very rarely. Feng Qingxiu didn't know much about the size of her husband's family. She only knew that Chen Cancan gave birth to 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. The youngest one, Zhao Dabao, was male. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 747. Cousins do not interact frequently, and their affection is naturally weak, so weak that it is almost non-existent. Feng Qingxiu was grateful to the 3 uncles and aunts for their kindness to her sisters. Over the years, they had given them a lot of things in private under the guise of Lu Jiang's comrade in arms, and they got along quite happily. Accepting and repaying kindness lies with the elders and has nothing to do with the next generation. Feng Qingxiu can clearly distinguish who she should thank the most. She will only repay the benefactor herself. Just because her elders are kind to her, she must care for her peers. If her peers have frequent contacts and have good character, then it is another matter. Among peers, the one with the best relationship is still Wang Qiao, and the closest among the cousins is Wang Dachun, the eldest son of Wang Zhenqiu. It's not that Feng Qingxiu is estranged from her other 2 uncles, aunts, and their children, but that she doesn't have much contact with them. Although the 2 uncles and aunts are nice, their son and daughter-in-law are not so happy. They always argue with the 2 over trivial matters. The uncle and aunt were quarreling, so there was nothing important. Feng Qingxiu did not interact with them. The people who often caused trouble were Wang Zhenqiu and his wife and Wang Dachun brothers. The cousins of the second uncle and the third uncle's family are like this, let alone Chen Cancan, who is already married. If they encounter a temporary difficulty, then Feng Qingxiu will definitely lend a hand for the sake of their elders and will never stand by coldly, but isn't that the point now? There were too many cousins, and she was too lazy to interact with them one by one and insisted on showing the deep affection between cousins and brothers. Father Lu and Wang Zhenqiu were more attentive and should have noticed this situation long ago. Others probably didn't notice it. Hearing Wang Fengqiao mention Chen Cancan's son, she smiled slightly and did not comment on Zhao Dabao. Instead, she followed her topic and said, "That was when my aunt had never seen Zabao. He was so ugly that I wanted to see him, press him on the Kong and give him a spanking." Zibao suddenly shouted, "Hua Hua." Wang Fengqiao and Feng Qingxiu turned to look at him at the same time, thinking that the voice had woken him up. As a result, the mother-in-law only saw Zibao turning over, lying on his stomach with his buttocks raised, and continued to sleep soundly. It turned out to be a dream talk, Wang Fengqiao said with a smile. Maybe he thought of Zonghua and called his name in the dream. Speaking of which, we left in a hurry and didn't even have time to let him say goodbye to Zonghua. It would be better if we don't say goodbye. If we say goodbye, we are afraid that the two of them will hold hands and look at each other with tears in their eyes, and no one will be able to leave the other. Wang Fengqiao thought about it and felt it made sense. Feng Qingxiu had just turned Zibao over to lie down and covered her with a quilt when she heard a radio sound coming from outside. It seemed that a passenger was sick and was looking for a doctor to show up to help. She told Wang Fengqiao to take good care of the child and grabbed the first aid kit. Out of the box, Gu Hong, the conductor who brought them hot water and took great care of them, also hurried over. Seeing her was like seeing a bodhisattva. He grabbed her and said, "Comrade, you are dressed as a medical soldier, wearing a Red Cross armband and first aid kit, please come with me quickly, a passenger has passed out and we are all in a panic. Take me there quickly." This passenger was in the sleeper compartment and arrived quickly. "Get out of the way, get out of the way, the doctor is here," Gu Hong's voice passed over, and the people surrounding the patient suddenly dispersed, making way for Feng Qingxiu to have direct contact with the patient. The patient is an old man, at least 60 or 70 years old, with gray hair, wrinkles on his face, and weak breathing. There is a visitor at home. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 748. Accompanying the old man was a young man who looked at Feng Qingxiu eagerly. "Doctor, come quickly, come and see my grandpa." The boy was only 16 or 17 years old, tall and thin, with a green and frightened face. When this happened, he was almost at a loss. Feng Qingxiu didn't have time to look at the appearance and clothing of the old man and the young man in detail, and she didn't have time to answer the young man. She only gave first aid to the old man. After carefully checking the old man's specific condition, Feng Qingxiu took out an angwin from the first aid box. Bezor pills. She had prepared Niuhuang pills in her previous life. She had prepared a lot of them, each pill costing several hundred yuan per box, and they had been stored in the space. One pill costs hundreds to nearly 1,000 yuan, which is indeed very expensive, but the effect is very good and it can be called a necessary life-saving medicine. Later, she took one and put it in the first aid kit in case of emergency. Unexpectedly, this Bezor pill would be used on the train. She asked the conductor for water and quickly gave the old man the Niuhuang pills. Feng Qingxiu then took out her own golden needle and pricked him with a few needles. Her technique was quick and skillful, and then she said to the young man, "Fortunately we are close. We all live in sleeper cars, so we need to come quickly and be rescued in time, otherwise the consequences will be serious. Heat evil enters the body, resulting in stroke and fainting. Without him, the old man's life would not be in great danger. However, if he delays for a long time, he will only be with the bed in his next life. Niuhuang pill clears away heat and detoxifies, and is a life-saving pill for stroke and coma. The train conductor listened to Feng Qingxiu's words and bent down. "Thank you, comrade, thank you, comrade." The young man saw with his own eyes that his grandfather's complexion seemed to have improved, and he was extremely grateful. He thanked him one after another. "Thank you, comrade, for saving my grandpa, thank you, Chong Feng Qingxiu bowed. "You're welcome, this is what I should do." Feng Qingxiu retracted the needle, and as soon as she stood up, she found that the old man was awake. "What's wrong with me?" The old man noticed that his body was slightly inflexible as soon as he woke up, and his face suddenly changed color. "Zizhong, Zizhong, Zizhong, am I not having a stroke?" "Your grandma was suffering from hemiplegia due to a stroke." "Grandpa," the young man didn't know how to answer this question. Feng Qingxiu consoled her. "Comrade, you don't need to be too alarmed. Your symptoms are very mild, otherwise you wouldn't wake up so quickly." "Thanks to this comrade for saving you," the conductor interjected. "I gave you medicine and an injection. You woke up not long after. You have to thank this comrade for his generous rescue." The old man then looked at Feng Qingxiu and asked his grandson to help him sit up. He leaned against the young man and said solemnly to Feng Qingxiu, "Thank you, comrade, for saving me. May I ask your name?" Feng Qingxiu was packing her first aid kit and replied, "You can tell by looking at my outfit. I am a medical soldier. It is our duty to help the world and save people. You don't have to be so polite. Comrade, you saved my life. To me, you are a great benefactor. I can't repay you for saving my life. Shouldn't I know the name and origin of my savior?" The old man was very persistent, so Feng Qingxiu could only say, "My name is Feng Qingxiu, and I am in the southwest military region." The old man immediately remembered, old Kui Hongbin, my grandson's name is Kui Zizhong, and his father's name is Kui Xiaoyuan. He is a moderate cotter in the capital. We are visiting relatives and returning home. Comrade, if you need help in the future, please say hello to him." "That's it?" Feng Qingxiu was stunned. "Kui Xiaoyuan, isn't he one of the influential figures in special times? The big hundreds are actually 7, 8, 900, known as the Big Three, and 900 is the Big Three. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 749. Kui Xiaoyuan was the kind of person who had both sides. Although he was not a leader in special times, he was still considered powerful. His words and actions were very important. Afterwards, he retreated and was able to enjoy his old age. The reason was probably that he only followed the old leader and never persecuted Zhongliang. However, being friends with such people is definitely beneficial to your family during special times. Saving Kui Xiaoyuan's father was a huge debt to the Kui family. Because according to the records that Feng Qingxiu had read, Kui Xiaoyuan was a filial son. After his father Kui Hongbin suffered a stroke, he was almost paralyzed. He was taken to the capital for treatment, but the effect was not obvious, so he personally peed on the ground before and after bed. "Having taken care of my old father for nearly 20 years, I broke into pieces the saying 'there is no filial son in bed' for a long time and passed it down as a good saying. Be sure to seize this opportunity." With this idea in mind, Feng Qingxiu gave up her previous plan to do good deeds without leaving her name, and decided to take today's opportunity to establish friendship with the Kui family. So while giving Kui Zizhong some precautions, under the inadvertent inquiring of the old man, she also inadvertently revealed her husband's name, but said nothing about his position. This is a secret of the army and should generally not be spread outside. She understands the rules and understands when enough is enough. In fact, Feng Qingxiu's identity as a soldier has won everyone's trust and favor. People across the country have an almost fanatical admiration for soldiers, including Kui Hongbin, who is also a veteran of the anti-Japanese war. He wears an old military uniform with patches on his body. He loves juniors like Feng Qingxiu even more, saying, "Hello soldiers, soldiers." Well, with the leadership of the old leaders and the protection of the soldiers, the country can now have peace and prosperity, so that the people will no longer be the people in troubled times. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "So, the foundation laid by you seniors is the top priority. We just continue to protect the country laid by our ancestors from foreign enemies." Kui Hongbin laughed and quickly changed the topic. "Comrade, what kind of medicine did you give me before? I'll prepare a portion with me later so that I won't encounter this situation again next time I go out." Kui Hongbin was still aware of his physical condition. Feng Qingxiu thought for a while and replied, "That's Angong Niuhuang pills. Niuhuang has a history of 2,000 years in our country." Kui Hongbin knew it was Niuhuang pill as soon as he heard it. "I have heard that Niuhuang pill is valuable, the king of medicines, and a priceless treasure. I have also heard of Angong Niuhuang pill. It is a life-saving medicine, especially for stroke and coma. It is particularly rare. This Bezoar pill you gave me was hard-earned, right? I don't know how to repay you. Medicines are used to save people. To save people, you need to use them in real terms. Don't say anything about repaying or not repaying me. I still have 2 pills in my hand. I can give you 1 pill in case you need it. I'll give you the other pill, gotta keep it." Feng Qingxiu originally spent 200,000 yuan and only bought more than 200 pills. "Although I regard it as a treasure, I don't mind giving one to Kui Hongbin, but I have to change the packaging before giving it to him." Kui Zhizhong immediately thanked Feng Qingxiu, ignoring his grandfather's dissatisfaction with him, and said, "Grandpa, this life-saving medicine is useful to you, so don't glare at me." "It's useless to glare at me. If you get into trouble on the road, no matter what happens, Dad will eat me alive. The only way to repay him is to pay the market price and not take Comrade Feng's medicine for nothing. I know you don't understand, so I'm here to update Chapter 10. Hey, my calculations have been stuck and I'm going to die." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 750. Feng Qingxiu couldn't let go of her child and aunt, so she returned to her sleeper compartment after the matter was settled. Traveling with them were conductors Gu Hong and Kui Zhizhong, the latter of course wanted Angong Niuhuang pills. Feng Qingxiu walked into the box where her mother and her sisters were sitting, and found Zibao sitting on the bunk in a very bold manner, with his 2 chubby hands rubbing his eyes with red eyes. "Mom, no mother. It means I woke up and didn't see my mother." Wang Fengjiao stood beside Fu Bao. "Xiaoxiu, you're here." "I can't see you," so 11 Bao almost screamed at the top of his lungs. Hearing what Wang Fengjiao said, Zibao immediately put down his little hand and cheered, "Mom! Mom is here. Baby, Mom is back. If I go out again, I will take you with me." Feng Qingxiu leaned forward and kissed Zibao, on both cheeks and forehead, and then went to get Angong Niuhuang pills. It looked like he was taking it out of his satchel, but in fact he was taking out a Bezoar pill from the space. The box was removed, leaving only the wax-sealed pills. Feng Qingxiu held the pill in her palm, turned around and took out the glass bottle that previously contained the Bezoar pills from the first aid kit. She put the Bezoar pill in and tightened the lid before handing it to Kui Zhizhong, who was standing at the door but had not come in. The so-called first aid medicine is to treat emergencies immediately and to save critical moments. Although Angong Niuhuang pill is the king of medicines, it can only be used as a first aid medicine for stroke and fainting when heat evil enters the body. It cannot be taken without permission, nor can it be taken for a long time. After Feng Qingxiu finished explaining, he continued, as long as the wax seal is intact, generally speaking, it will not lose its efficacy. If it is stored properly, it can still be taken several years later. Kuizes Hong took it with both hands and said respectfully, "Thank you, Comrade Feng, for reminding me. I'll remember it." Wang Fengqiao and Zibao looked at him curiously, and Zibao said, "Brother." Kuizes Hong was stunned when he heard this, and then he heard Feng Qingxiu smile and say to the fair and tender little fat man on the sleeper, "Yes, it's brother. Next time Zibao sees brother, remember to call him brother." "Brother," Zibao's cry was particularly clear and loud. After Kuizes Hong responded smoothly, his face suddenly turned red. He held the medicine in one hand and touched it up and down with the other hand. Finally, he took out a pen from his pocket and handed it to Zibao, stammering, I took my grandpa to visit relatives and didn't bring anything with me. This pen was given to me by my father. I'll give it to you. Study hard and make progress every day." Feng Qingxiu pushed back, "Comrade Kuizes Hong, can you change a pen? This is really a huge profit. It is polite for Zibao to call you brother. You don't need to give me a greeting gift. Since it is a gift from my father, you should keep it well." Kuizes Hong threw the pen on Zibao's berth and ran away, leaving everyone dumbfounded. Gu Hong said with a smile, "It was really troublesome for Comrade Feng to help you just now. I'm going to get hot water for you. The dining car should be here soon. I've been busy for a long time. Comrade Feng has a good meal." Zibao grabbed the pen thrown in front of him with one hand and waved it towards her with the other hand. "Sister, bye," he blew a kiss skillfully. Her cute appearance and sweet voice immediately aroused Gu Hong's love, and the smile on her face almost turned into reality and flowed down. "You are so good, just wait and sister will get you hot water. Ask the dining car waiter to bring you delicious food." "Okay," Zibao nodded, "thank you, sister."